Welcome to Mentally Speaking. I'm your host, John Nevitt. This is Charlie. And today, we're going to talk about service animals. But more than that, we're going to talk about psychiatric service animals. You know, when people think of a service animal, that they think of a large dog like a Labrador or a shepherd who can go to the refrigerator and grab a beer for you if you need it, or who can open a door if you need it opened for you, or things like that. Muscly dogs. If you've fallen on the floor, they can provide you with the brace that you need to get up off the floor. But that's not what psychiatric service animals are all about. Psychiatric service animals can be trained to provide other tasks that we need, those of us with mental disabilities. And so I had Charlie trained by me, and you can train the dogs yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. The ADA says that you can train the dogs yourself if you're willing and if you're able to do so. Some breeds are easier trained than others, and if you're considering getting a service animal, then I suggest you get one that's very trainable. Charlie is a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel, and they are very, very trainable. They respond very well to training, and they are people pleasers. That's what they do. They were originally bird dogs. It's inherent in their design, in their DNA, to go get birds and retrieve them and bring them back to their owners, to their masters. That's what they do. They want to please whoever it is that they're with. So, in talking about psychiatric service animals, you know, there are a lot of people who just don't understand what it is to have a service animal. And they confuse that with an emotional support animal. And no, they're not emotional support animals, and we need to keep those separate. Charlie does provide me with emotional support, of course. She's my companion. She's my friend. She lives with me all the time. We are together 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I wouldn't have it any other way. But she does provide tasks for me that I can't do myself when I'm not thinking clearly. She responds to my needs, as opposed to an emotional support animal who simply is there for my support. So, she travels with me. I do keep paperwork with me in case things get squirrely. But I don't have to have it. And that's one thing, another misconception that people don't understand. You don't have to have a slew of paperwork with you when you travel with your service animal. You don't have to have a slew of paperwork to go into a restaurant if your animal is trained properly. You don't have to have paperwork to go into a store if your animal is trained. Now, I did say I have gear for Charlie, and I do. I have a vest that says service dog. And what that does really, when we are traveling, is it simply keeps people from distracting her. It's not mean necessarily for the other people. I enjoy it when people want to pet Charlie and want to be a part of her life and get introduced to her, and certainly she enjoys it as well. But when we're working, so to speak, and when we are traveling, what the vest does is it lets mothers know that their children shouldn't run up and play with her and get her too excited if we're in an airport, for instance. And it lets others know that they really shouldn't ask to pet Charlie, that they need not distract her from what she's doing, because I am giving her commands as we go along, and it can be distracting for her. The whole situation is very distracting for dogs. Sometimes there are other dogs that are there, and let me tell you, those situations are hard for a dog to control, though they do very well. So, let's go over some of the ADA compliant issues that you need to know about. The ADA says that if you have a service animal, it can be any breed. Any breed. Now again, I wouldn't recommend running out and getting yourself a Shih Tzu. It's just not recommended. My family, my youngest son has a Shih Tzu, and she's not trainable because they're just not trainable dogs. So think about what you're doing before you rush out and get yourself what you think is going to be your favorite animal, okay? And make sure that you get yourself something that's going to be trainable. Research what you'd like. Get the size of animal that's appropriate for you and appropriate for your needs. If you live in an apartment, then don't get yourself a Great Dane, and so on. Things like that. If you're going to travel a lot, again, don't get yourself a German Shepherd. Get something that's more appropriate for you and your needs. So I'll leave that alone. Now, as far as training that dog after you have obtained the animal, training, you can have the dog trained, but that will cost you. And there's no reason why you can't train the dog. You may have to have training done for some of the more specialized services, recognizing anxiety, those types of things. You may need assistance in training so that they can get a feel for what it is you're going through. Those are difficult to train by yourself. They're not impossible. I was able to do it with Charlie. She is remarkably attentive, however, to my moods. And I remember once I was very sad. I wasn't upset, but I was sad and slipping into a very dark place. And my eyes began to tear up, and I had a tear rolling down my face. And she smelled the tear and licked it off my face, and she immediately went and ran and got a toy and came and brought it to play with me. That was her natural reaction. And that's the kind of trainable reaction that you want. Sometimes that takes weeks to get a dog to do that kind of reaction when you're talking about training for easing anxiety and distraction methods for the dog. The dog taking you out of where you are and saying, hey, come with me and let's do something different. So sometimes it's easier than others, and sometimes it's not. But as far as training is concerned, there are some things you may want outside training for, but as far as an entire training course, sometimes those just aren't needed as far as having your dog trained, because you do not need a certification for training to prove that your dog is certified. There is no need for a certification in the United States according to the Americans with Disabilities Act. And that is also another misconception of the public and people who run stores and restaurants and other things like that. Hold. And I'm sorry, as we go on, once you have your dog trained, you can get gear for your dog. I have a little vest and lead for Charlie, and it works very well. It also gives her a sense of the fact that we are doing something different than when we are going on walks or when it's just the two of us going and playing or doing other things. When we have the vest and lead on, she understands that this is something different. We're working now, and we have a goal to achieve. We're going somewhere, and she loves traveling in the car. She loves going on planes. She loves doing all those things. She loves traveling. She loves it more than I do. But she knows that we're working at those times when we go shopping at Walmart, which is the bane of my existence. She knows that we're working, and how hard it is for me. But at any rate, you can get her those things, or him those things, and learn to work with them to get you shopping or to get you out of the house, and to train them. And that's also part of their training. I trained Charlie to go into places and out of places, specifically places like Walmart, so that if I had a panic attack, which I did one time, all I have to give her is the out command, and she'll find an exit for me. She will track until she finds an exit, and she does. She gets me out of that store as quickly as possible. And again, I don't need a huge Labrador because I'm not limp. She doesn't drag me out. She's just leading me out because I'm having a panic attack. And I have confidence in her to lead me out, just like a friend would take my hand and say, come on, let's go. And that's a wonderful, wonderful feeling. So, you don't need all this paperwork necessarily. You might want to have a letter from your psychiatrist stating that she has recommended that you get a service animal, that you have it trained, or that it has been trained once you complete your training for the dog, things like that, that you can keep in a backpack or something like that, or keep a copy in your car, which I do, just in case I run into a knucklehead here and there. But I don't keep any other paperwork with me at all. Now, the final thing that I want to make sure that you understand is that people that you may run into, hotels, restaurants, stores, others, they're only allowed to ask you 2 questions about your dog. Is it a service animal? And what service does it provide? That's all. They cannot dig any deeper. It is against the law. The dog is protected under the Americans with Disabilities Act. They cannot dig any deeper than that about your service animal. It is against the law. And your response to their questions simply are, yes, it is a service animal. And to the second question, she provides services that are appropriate to assist me with my disability. Period. That's as far as it goes. You need not give any more information than that. And if they want to dig any deeper, you just say, I'm sorry, you're not allowed to do that. And that's as far as it has to go. So, I think we've talked about service animals and things like that. If you'd like to know any more, or if there are any more questions you have about service animals, feel free to email me. I believe it's mentallySpeaking.john@gmail.com. If I have that correct, we're going to throw it down on the screen here. So, shoot me an email and feel free to ask me anything you like. And if I don't know it, I'll find out it. But I know an awful lot since I trained Charlie myself, and we do an awful lot of traveling, and I've run into quite a few knuckleheads along the way. But if you feel you got something out of this episode, then for sure give us a like and subscribe to make it easier for others to find us. But for now, I'm John Nevitt. I wish you love. I wish you hope. And I wish you health and happiness. Mentally speaking. Bye-bye. Say bye-bye, Charlie.